What's a fact that was taught in school that's been disproven in your lifetime? I learned tongue taste maps at school. Turns out it's complete nonsense. I have a feeling science knew it was nonsense for years while schools kept pushing it for some reason. Literally, the creator knew it wasn't real. The creator only made it as an example on how the tongue works and put the different words there. But not to actually mean these places you taste more. I feel like my entire childhood just evaporated. Once you get to high school, nobody will accept papers not written in cursive. My God, elementary teachers think high school is like signing up for basic military training, I swear. My grade 8 teacher told me that high school wouldn't let me use pencils, use the bathroom during class, fail me if I'm a minute late for class, not let me talk to my friends in the halls, etc. It's like they watched a Hollywood high school movie and thought it was real. And then high school teachers said the same thing about college. It's funny, my homeroom teacher used to be really honest about college. They said it was laid back but difficult. And you know what, I wish I had listened to them because I am now very behind on my assignments, lol. The food pyramid. Give us this day, our daily 17 pieces of bread. For gravy us our tricks passes, as we for gravy those who tricks pass against us. Lead us not into chicken tenders, but deliver us our pizzas. For thine is the Kool-Aid, and the pot pie, and the glazed ham, forever and ever. In pharmacy school around the turn of the century we were taught that people in legitimate pain don't get addicted to opiates and opioids. Probably taught by the Suckler's marketing team. I am very confident in that. All fat was bad for you, thus fat-free foods became a thing for a while. Fat-free and tiny huge amount of sugar. Now it's reversed, keto high fat, no/low sugar ha. God, I wish. Seems like every food maker is obsessed with making things sweet. All the foods that say, 0 sugar, all have sugar alcohols or stevia or monk fruit or some other nonsense. I just want it to be less sweet. Stop adding sweeteners to it, just make it blander please. You should try tasting it on a different area of your tongue. Strangers will give me free drugs on street corners and in Halloween candy. As an adult I now know how freaking expensive edibles are and am not sharing with loved ones, let alone strangers. Still waiting for all those free drugs that were going to be forced down my throat like Dare promised. Your permanent record will follow you into adulthood. Only time I found that record was used was for college admittance. A really smart person had a bunch of red flags in his profile, he would talk back endlessly. Have rejection letters stating his records were not clear enough to even apply there. He turned out fine, I think he's a lawyer in a big city. Turns out talking back and being argumentative in class as a kid sets the foundation to being a successful lawyer. You won't always have a calculator on you. And you have much more than that now. You basically have an answer to any question on any test you've ever taken. And yet people are dumber than ever. Because they're not being taught critical thinking, logic, and how to know which information is correct. Instead, we're still using a 100-year-old education system that is 95% memorization, which is becoming an obsolete skill. I once asked one of my elementary school teachers what a rainbow was, and she told me scientists hadn't figured it out. I walked around until my early 20s thinking that. Also, I think it was this same teacher who told me Columbus thought the earth was flat. They were training teachers a different kind of way in the 70s and 80s. It's honestly one of the reasons I'm thankful for the internet, because depending on your teacher or an outdated encyclopedia for answers could be a real roll of the dice. I remember being told that only Columbus thought the earth was round and literally everyone else in Europe thought it was flat. And that's why he couldn't get funding at first to explore, because everyone thought he was going to fall off the side of the earth. Turns out, that's so wrong it's not even funny. Same. That was a very 80s thing. Columbus was sailing to prove the earth was round. No one is going to wait for you to look up information in the real world, you have to know it, has to be the most insane thing I ever heard. That never made sense to me even before everyone had the internet in their pocket. In one of my HS English classes we were constantly writing essays without being allowed to consult the books we'd been assigned. This was to prepare us for the final state exam in which we'd be given an essay prompt, which was to remain a mystery until they actually handed us the exam, and would not be allowed any outside material to bring with us. I always wondered, do they expect us to memorize every detail of every book we've ever read in order to write one essay for this one dumbass exam? Yes they did. That George Washington's teeth were made of wood. No. It's so much worse. The wild part is that they specifically went out of their way to teach us about George Washington's wood teeth. Like if you could name 5 facts about him, that would be one. First US president, wooden teeth, cherry tree. I almost feel like he was treated like a mythological creature. The founding fathers are all mythologized to varying degrees, none more so than George though. You only use 10% of your brain each day. Yeah, but that's fine. You don't want to turn into a USB stick, do you? For those that don't get it, this is a reference to the incredibly stupid movie Lucy. I went to the cinema to see that. How could a movie that consists of Scarlett Johansson kicking things for 2 hours possibly go wrong? That movie is How. The whole meteorite killed the dinosaurs thing wasn't yet the accepted theory when I was a kid. I sang that in my head like video killed the radio star. Meteorite killed the dinosaurs. On the earth they stopped their roars. If you study well and have excellent grades, you will end up with a nice job and lots of money. Poor career guidance really failed a lot of people. I think part of it is career guidance, but I think an even larger part of it is the mentality that people can study whatever they want in college. Many people push the idea of just studying whatever your passion is. The reality is that societies often support a limited quantity of different types of work, and once you hit the limit, everyone else pushes down wages, more workers than jobs available, and fails to get jobs in their chosen professions. This doubly impactful in job categories that were never really that high paying in the first place. Lots of people love the arts or sociology or philosophy, but those particular majors don't generally have the biggest influx of cash heading their way. If you don't do well, you'll end up being a garbage man. Fuck you. Garbage men are awesome and make more than teachers. Also, less likely to get shot on the job. This is true of so many professions that we were taught were lesser than, or just looked down upon. Being a plumber was always a joke. Wish I woulda took the $70K union job with excellent benefits and a pension joke at 20 years old, lol. That I'd fail in life because I was not good at math. I always had a hard time with math and physics and chemistry. Turns out I am just not good with numbers, but succeeded with languages. I have a natural talent for languages. I am a translator and conference interpreter. I work with 5 languages. My math teacher told my mom I'd never amount to anything if I didn't master math. I was there and her words scarred me for life. I have been terrified of failure ever since. Are you sure it's 5 languages? You said yourself you're not good at math. He meant 10 languages. So English and binary. The United States government prevents abuse of power through a well-engineered system of checks and balances. This one made me laugh out loud. They really did try and make us believe that. Hilarious. That we would all but run out of oil by the year 2000. The spice must flow. From memory they did think they had reached peak oil, but then technological advances occurred and they found a fiction more oil fields. Fracking and deep-sea oil rigs IIRC. In the UK there was an organization that sold seminars to schools that were supposed to teach kids about the type of learner they are, visual, auditory or kinetic. They would turn up and spend a 2-hour assembly teaching the kids all about how some of them should record their notes so they would take them in better, or how they should write things out again and again if they were visual learners, etc. But it was basically all complete horseshit. Pseudoscience like those Briggs-Myers personality tests. They made it up based on cursory readings of actual academic papers, then built a whole rigid system of rules and tips. The first clue was how they seemed to be able to sort people into their learning group with just 1 or 2 questions, when really something like that, if it was legit, would likely need a session with a psychologist to determine. The second clue was my physics teacher burying his head in his hands and grimacing the whole time. He was a published academic who started teaching in schools to ease into retirement. I asked him about it and he said he begged the principal not to book them because he knew it was made up. The principal decided to do it anyway because all the other schools had already done it, and what harm could it do?